All right, welcome. Today we are going to tackle a really big idea in sociology, and that's functionalism. It's a theory that tries to answer a massive question, one we might not even think about that often. In a world with millions, even billions of people, how do our societies, well, not just collapse into total chaos? Let's dig in.
I mean, really think about that for a second. It's a huge question, right? You've got millions of people, all with their own dreams, their own goals, their own agendas, and yet somehow we all manage to cooperate, day in and day out. Functionalism offers one really powerful and, yeah, sometimes pretty controversial answer to this giant puzzle. So, here's how we're going to break this all down. First up, we'll look at the core idea. Is society like a living body? Then we'll talk about the social glue that holds everything together. After that, we'll figure out how we all learn the rules of the game. Then we'll get into the system survival kit, the 4 things every society needs to make it. And finally, we'll see how this whole theory explains the huge shift from traditional to modern life.
Okay, first things first. The absolute core metaphor of functionalism is, well, it's pretty simple, but it's really powerful. The idea is to think of society not as some kind of machine, but as a living, breathing organism.
So what does that actually mean? Well, at its heart, functionalism sees society as this super complex system, a lot like the human body. And every single part, the family, the economy, the education system, each one has a very specific job, or what sociologists call a function. And the whole point, the ultimate purpose of every single function, is just to keep the entire social body healthy, stable, and running smoothly. And this organic analogy, it really goes deep. So think about it. A biological body is a system of cells, right? And it needs things like nutrition to survive. Well, functionalists argue that society is a system of institutions, and it needs things like socialization to maintain order. The family, the government, the economy, you can think of these as the vital organs that keep the whole social body alive and kicking.
Okay, that makes sense. But if society is this big body with all these different working parts, what stops it from just falling apart? I mean, what's the invisible force holding it all together? Well, functionalists have a very specific answer for that. They call it the social glue.
And that social glue has a name. The famous sociologist Talcott Parsons called it value consensus. And really, it's just the fundamental and often totally unspoken agreement that we all have about what's important, what's right, and what's wrong. It's this shared culture that makes everything else possible. It's what allows us to cooperate and what creates social order in the first place. So what exactly is this shared culture made of? Well, it's a few things. It's the norms, the unwritten rules of daily life, like waiting your turn in line. It's the core values that we hold dear, things like freedom or family. It's our shared beliefs and our shared goals. When you put all those things together, they create this predictable framework that we all operate within.
All right, so society has this shared rulebook. But how do we as individuals actually learn to play by those rules? I mean, how does the system make sure that we all fit in and do our part? Good question.
Well, it's pretty much a 2-step process. Step 1 is socialization. From the second we're born, our family, our schools, the media, they're all teaching us the norms and values of our culture. Then comes step 2, social control. When we follow the rules, let's say you get good grades in school, we get rewarded. That's called a positive sanction. But when we break the rules, we get punished. That's a negative sanction. It's basically a system of carrots and sticks that keeps us all playing by the same rules. Okay, so just like any living thing needs basics like food and water to survive, functionalists argue that any social system also has 4 essential needs that it absolutely must meet to keep going. You can think of it like society's basic survival kit. And Parsons boiled this down into 4 key jobs, which he called the AGIL model, AGIL. Let's break it down. A is for adaptation. This is the job of the economy, basically meeting everyone's material needs. G is for goal attainment. That's the political system's job, setting our collective goals and deciding how to get there. I is for integration. This is where institutions like religion, education, and the media come in to make sure all the different parts of society are working together towards those shared goals. And finally, L is for latency. This is about maintaining the system over time, and it's mainly the job of the family and kinship systems. Now, you might be thinking this all sounds like it's just about keeping things the same, about stability, but functionalism also has a way of explaining social change. For Parsons, the huge evolution from a traditional society to a modern one was all about a massive shift in our core values and how we structure our lives.
And the contrast is pretty stark when you look at it. In a traditional society, your status was usually ascribed, meaning you were born a farmer or a noble, and that was pretty much it for you. But in modern societies, we value achieved status, what you earn through your own hard work. Or think about this. Traditional rules were often particularistic. The rules were different depending on who you were. Modern societies, though, strive for universalism, the idea that the same laws and rules should apply to everyone equally. So, to wrap this all up, the main thing to remember is this. Functionalism sees society as this incredibly complex system. Every single part, every institution, every rule, every value, it all has a purpose, and that purpose is to contribute to the overall stability and the smooth functioning of the whole social machine. And that leaves us with one final, really important question to think about. Is society really this harmonious, perfectly integrated system where everything works together? Or does this way of looking at things maybe overlook all the power struggles, the inequality, and the conflicts that are also a huge part of our world? That's the biggest critique of functionalism, and it's a fantastic question to leave you with. Thanks for joining me.